afternoon, everybody. I know I'm doing a live on Friday afternoon instead of Monday morning, and I've had a little bit of a nutso week, so that is why I am here on a Friday instead. And I want to talk today about a very cool topic, and I know I love this because I connect very well with this, is we're talking about our inner critic. And who is it? Now, we all have those little moments and little voices within us and within ourselves where we have that little voice of doubt, the little voice of whatever it might be. And I've actually named some of my inner critics. And if you're watching, comment below. I'd love to hear from you if you've named your inner critics. What are their names? So I talk a lot about Penny Perfection, and Penny was with me for a very long time, Penny Perfection, and we have lots of conversations. We have a few other critical voices, and I want to talk a little bit about how to identify them and overcome them. So I know some of my clients have also named their critic as well. And as we go through, I've done other activities and other names have come up. So it's interesting when we start and connect into this space and start to recognize these parts of us that usually are there to keep us safe, but sometimes they are a little bit soul destroying and they can tell us things that maybe we don't want to hear, like Penny Perfection. And a great way to work around this is through journaling. I love using journals to catch what I'm thinking. And in art therapy, obviously, we do a lot of journal work, both written and pictorial. So we use our journal to really connect into unconscious parts and to be able to work through all of those critics. Now, once we do discover who this critic is within us, for example, my Penny, we can start to hear the words that they are saying and we can catch it before we actually make decisions. So with the perfectionism, we may decide, oh no, I can't do that because I'm not good enough, or I can't do that because it's not perfect, or I'm not going to complete that task because it's not perfect. But knowing that that inner critic voice is within you, you can catch it in that moment and start to move through it and be aware of it. And then ask, is this me or is this my inner critic talking? Is this valid or is this my inner critic trying to keep me safe? And in a lot of parts of creative work, particularly art therapy, I get a lot of clients that say to me that they can't do art therapy because they're not good at art. But actually, you don't even have to be good at art to be able to do art therapy, because it's not about actually doing art. It's about connecting into you and your emotions and getting that out. So being aware of what these inner critics are, and do they have voices, and do they have names? I'd love to hear if your inner critic has a name, what it is and what it stops you from doing. So I discovered another little one that I had, and I named her Desiree Destroyer, and she is my sabotage inner critic by stopping me from doing things that I want to do in life and sometimes business, but being aware that's there. And when that thought pattern comes up for me going, ooh, that is what it is. It's actually not me wanting to do, that's my critic wanting to do that. And we can live in this sort of space of really just trying to work out what this is for us, but being aware of it and using a journal. And I sometimes get my clients to actually draw the picture of that person and write what they say. What do they say? What are things that they're saying to you that may or may not be true? And then we can work on that. Who are we as people? And are we listening to the words that these inner critics are telling us? And how can we change this narrative? And I talk a lot about changing narratives and working on different words to use. So, identifying the inner critic, writing about it, using your journal, either drawing or writing, it doesn't matter. And if you're watching, just say hi below, because I can see a few people are online. But also finding out where it comes from. And this is a really interesting part that I love, is really finding out where this inner critic comes from. So lots of times it comes from our childhood and things that we're told, things that are said to us, things that we believe, belief patterns and belief systems that we carry forward into adulthood, and it sticks with us. And sometimes it could just be somebody saying to you, you're not good at something, like you're not good at dancing, or you're not good at drawing, or you're not good at singing, for example. It could just be one little comment like that which sets you on a different path of operating, like that mind. So challenging those mindset behaviors is a really interesting thing to discover, is where it actually came from, maybe even who it came from, who originally said those words to you. So art therapy can bring you back into that space of discovery, of finding out when this thought pattern started. And lots of us, it started in childhood and adolescence, because that's when our brain is developing, that's when our mind is life patterns for us. We're in lots of different developmental stages. So it actually sets us onto paths that we utilize throughout our whole life. And unless you are aware of this and you can challenge this, you'll always stay on that same path. So being able to really connect into that, it's quite an interesting process to do. And hi Elaine, how are you? Thanks for joining. Yeah, so I love working with inner critic because it can really reveal a lot about us as people, a lot about us if you're a business person as well, because I work, and I have done this myself, work with lots of business people that have a massive inner critic of some description that may stop them from doing something in their business. And actually next week I'm going to talk about being seen. Why do you not want to be seen? Ooh, okay, that's a big one too. I get on every week and do my lives and people say, you're so good at doing that. My inner critic tells me every week, why are people going to listen to you? What do you have to offer that people are going to listen to? So I have to check in with my own inner critic and say to myself, okay, I'm sharing this information with people. Yes, it may reach people and it may be of interest, and some people it may not be of interest, but that's okay, because the people that need to hear this information will hear it, and the people that do not need to hear it will just pass by and not listen. So checking in with my own inner critic and working out, is this video going to be of value for some people? Yes, it will be. Is this a valuable tool for me and my business? Yes, it is. And why am I doing this? Because if I don't do this, you will never know what I do. If I don't do this, you'll never see what I do. If I don't do this, you'll never hear me speak. So why would you want to come and work with me or do any of the work with me? Because it's all about us being visible. I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent now, but it's all about this inner critic. And I will talk about the being seen in next week's live. But being able to check in with that inner critic in that moment and really challenge it, challenge their behavior, which is really your own behavior, but challenging that behavior. Is this right? Is it what I know, or is it what I think? Do I know it, or do I think this? Do I know that information to be true, or is that what I think is true? So really starting to challenge those two parts of us. So if you know that it is true, then do that. But if you think that thing is true, for example, inner critic, no one will want to listen to me because that's what I think. But do I really know that? I really don't. So I've got to check in and challenge that. and keep doing this. That was lots of information. But checking in, and do you have an inner critic? It'd be interesting to see if you do. If you don't, do you have a name for it? Do you journal with the inner critic? And next week I'm going to actually give you a little activity to do as well with the being seen, and we'll come back into the inner critic part again, and this will be on Monday. So I know we've got two quite close together. We've got Friday and Monday next week. So we'll check in again and let's talk about the inner critic again. And are you afraid to be seen in business? So yes to both, Elaine. Ooh, okay. I know it's really hard, right? And I know I'm an introverted person. For me to get on and do this live is super hard. But again, checking in with who is talking to me in the background, the inner critic. I have to just be that person and say, yes, I'm just going to do that. Because if I just connect in with one person that this gives value to, then I've done my job really well. So check in. Who's your inner critic? What are their names? If you have one, I'd love you to pop your names in the chat. And where do they come from? This is something that we can work on. We'll do a little activity next week and just see if you can find out where they come from. But this is the kind of work I do in art therapy, is finding out these sorts of things and challenging this behavior. And it's very interesting what comes up for people. So that's all for me for today. Check in with your inner critic and comment below. Give me some names. I love to hear what some of them are. I know people are very creative with their little names sometimes, and I do like to hear about them. And I just also want to let you guys know that we are running the Life's Journey program, and I have an autumn sale on. We've rejigged the program slightly, and we're bringing it back to a 6-week program, and we do have an offer going at the moment for Life's Journey. If you are keen to come into that program, comment below life and we'll send you some details. Jane will send you the details. Oh, Elaine, Betsy, yes. We've talked about Betsy before, I know. I love that you've named her. It's fantastic. But coming back to Life Journey, so if you do want to find out some more information about that, we work a lot in Life Journey about us as people, about who we are. We do art therapy processes. It is in a small group, so there's a maximum of 10 people in a group. So there aren't a lot of spaces left because we're already running a small group at the moment. The sale is on just for autumn. So at the end of May, this sale will be ending. So if you want to get into the Life Journey program, it would be a great time to do it now. We run on a Monday evening, and we can send you the dates of when that will be on. And the other thing that I have got coming up is free event, which is a ritual event, and I am looking for 6 to 8 people to join in that group with me. It is a training group, so there are some limitations and expectations. So if you want some information on the ritual group, it is a full program that runs on a Saturday. There is no cost and there's no upsell or anything like that. There's no thing. It's purely for my own training purposes. If you're interested in the ritual, there's 3 Saturdays that will run for 2 hours and then 1 Saturday that will run for a full day. It's a really beautiful process. You'll get to learn a lot about yourself and work on some things that you may want to work on, create some processes maybe for yourself in your life. And I might talk a little bit more about the ritual in a separate video if you're keen to do that. We do have a few people interested, and that's probably about it from me for today. So have a fantastic Friday, everybody, and a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all again on Monday. So bye for now.